There we go, 7 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the regular Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting of December 17th, 2012. And first item on the agenda is roll call.
Commissioner Rubenstein,
Here.
Commissioner Gepner,
I'm here.
Commissioner Quam,
Here.
Commissioner Gotell is absent tonight, and Chair Sandal.
Here. Next item is approval of the minutes of the meeting of November 19th, 2012. Is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any discussion or corrections? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 2 is approval of the HRA agenda. Is there a motion to so approve it?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Then we have the consent calendar. Mr. Stark.
Thank you, Chair Sandal and Commissioners. Tonight's consent calendar contains 4 separate items which are acted upon by the HRA in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved, and no further HRA action on these items would be necessary. Any HRA commissioner, however, may request that an item be removed from the consent calendar and placed on the regular agenda for HRA discussion and action. All of tonight's items are recommended for approval. We have item A, consideration of approval of a resolution decertifying the ILN or Interstate Lindale-Nicollet Tax Increment Financing District. Item B, consideration of approval of a transfer of assets to close out funds that are part of the ILN Tax Increment District. Item C, consideration of approval of a resolution authorizing an internal loan of up to $675,000 to fund a deficit in the ILN Redevelopment Project Fund. And item D, consideration of approval of annual consultant services agreement with the Greater Metropolitan Housing Corporation for 2013. And that concludes the consent calendar.
Okay.
I'll move the consent items.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to say I'm really happy this is a red letter day for Richfield, that we're decertifying this district. It's all on full taxes, and generally it has been a very successful effort on the part of the city. So I'm certainly glad that we're voting yes on
Okay.
this.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I think this is an opportunity for people to understand what happens when we do development with tax increment financing. This, though it wasn't spelled out specifically for people who are watching, covers the Hampton Inn, the Shops at Lindale, the Meridian Crossings property, and the Candlewood Hotel. And what's happened since 1985, when this became a tax increment district, is that Richfield has received the same taxes that it always would have received if we hadn't done a tax increment district. But now that we have managed to get this much additional development in there through the use of TIF, we are going to begin, as of next year, receiving an additional $700,000 every year for the city of Richfield, which certainly will benefit all of the residents that live in this community.
Yeah, and I would just note that the way, the taxes are set up in Minnesota with tax levies, what's likely to happen is that the city of Richfield isn't going to collect an additional $709,000. We'll probably collect what we would have collected anyway. It's just that the remainder of the Richfield taxpayers will pay $709,000 less of that tax bill.
Right. Yep. Thanks.
Okay. So if my fellow commissioners hadn't spoken up and said the positive things, I would have done the same, because I did at the city council meeting as well. The one thing I did not quite understand is why we do it both at city council and at HRA.
Well, portions of it, some of this, item A, for example, wasn't legally required. We did it really for a sense of closure, so that you have that before you. You can see that it's occurring. The other items are financial issues that the HRA was involved in, even though the city has the responsibility for establishing and certifying a TIF district. The HRA has the responsibilities for doing much of the financing within that, so they are intertwined.
Okay, thank you. So it's nice to report that Richfield is doing well and that the benefit to the city of using tax increment financing is that now we can decertify it and take the benefit of the new improvements, which are producing substantially more, have a substantially greater value by $1,822,233. So that's great. So we will call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, number 4. Mr. Stark?
Thank you, Chair Sandall. I'm going to ask Assistant Director Barton to provide that report.
Thank you, Chair Sandall and Commissioners. Item number 4 is consideration of a request for subordination of a Housing and Redevelopment Authority foreclosure purchase incentive program loan at 7625 Emerson Avenue. Daniel Helgamo, the homeowner of 7625 Emerson Avenue, received a zero-interest $15,000 foreclosure purchase incentive program loan from the Housing and Redevelopment Authority on August 3rd of 2011. Mr. Helgamo is seeking to refinance his first mortgage and is requesting a subordination of the HRA lien. Mr. Helgamo is proposing to consolidate additional debt into the new mortgage, which is not allowed under the HRA's subordination policy. As a result, the request for the subordination was denied by staff, and Mr. Helgamo is appealing the denial and has asked that his request be brought to the HRA this evening for consideration. In 2011, when Mr. Helgamo was applying for initial financing, his debt-to-income ratio was too high to independently secure a mortgage, and his parents agreed to co-sign the mortgage. However, Mr. Helgamo has been solely responsible for the payments since that time. Mr. Helgamo's primary goal in refinancing is to remove his parents from their obligation on his primary mortgage. And since his original loan, his financial situation has improved, allowing him to have a better debt-to-income ratio. However, the lender is requiring that he consolidate his student loan debt of approximately $55,000 in order to qualify for the mortgage. Additionally, by refinancing his mortgage, the homeowner would reduce his monthly debt obligations by 30% per month. Mr. Helgamo has made significant improvements to the property since he has purchased it, including a new roof, furnace, and air conditioning unit, along with an additional 1,000 square feet of finished space in his basement. As a result, the equity in his home has increased $68,000 from an initial appraisal of $207,000 to $275,000. The amount of equity removed in the refinancing of the primary mortgage will be less than the overall increase in equity of the home due to renovations and repairs. The loan-to-value ratio of the new mortgage would be 69%, which is a 4% increase from the original loan-to-value ratio of 65%. The HRA's lien is a 5-year forgivable zero-interest loan that is currently in second position behind a 15-year fixed-interest primary mortgage with a balance of $113,190. The superior mortgage will be paid off through the refinance, and the HRA's lien will be in second position behind the new 30-year fixed-interest primary mortgage of approximately $174,500 if approved. I believe Mr. Helgamo is in the audience. If you have questions of him, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have as well.
Okay. Mr. Helgamo, would you like to come up to the mic?
Hello.
Okay, did you want to make a statement or anything, or would you just answer questions? What would you?
I feel like everything was stated pretty well, what I had put in the letter, so I can answer your questions if you have any.
The letter was quite eloquent. Can you hit the highlights?
Well, actually, the highlights, all right, I'll give you the bullet points. The main thing I wanted to get across is the intended goal when I started this was to just remove my parents from the mortgage because they've been pursuing other properties and they didn't really need to be saddled by my debt anymore. But the main things are I've improved the property, increasing the value by $68,000. In the refinance effort, my only option was to eliminate my student loan payment by incorporating that debt into the new loan. And in retrospect, I maybe should have used my money to pay off the student loans, but I instead invested that money to improve the property when I originally put money into the property. So those are my
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion, and then we can talk about it?
I'll move that we grant him the exception. It's unfortunate that we kind of come up with the rules and we can never make them fit every example. This loan only has 4 more years to go. It was a foreclosed house?
It was a
that you-
foreclosed property,
you
yes.
know, he took a foreclosed house. Did you live in Richfield before you?
I did. I lived in Richfield since 2004, just moving around, and I wanted to stay when I bought this house.
So it meets all the other non-tangible criteria that we've come up with. So I will move the motion.
I'll second it. I think this just looks like good financial planning, and the fact of our 4 years left on loan, the improvement of the property, I second it.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I guess there's a question that troubles me, and that is that really the only basis for subordinating this is that it would be a better deal for the applicant. It's not necessarily a better deal for the HRA or more security. The principal loan loses one of its guarantors. And if we approve it simply on the basis that it would be a better deal for the applicant, how does that distinguish any of the requests that we receive? I assume no one will ever come to us and ask for a waiver unless it's to their benefit. So that would be the case with every single one that comes to us.
The others that we had created a debt-to-equity ratio that really weakened our position. You make a good point that the parents are on the note now, so you got double. But my point is that this is a relatively short period. It isn't the 25 or 30-year situations like we had come before us previously.
You could look at that 2 ways and say that it's only 3 or 4 more years to wait too, and perhaps we shouldn't waive our conditions when there's nothing particularly beneficial to the HRA in doing it, and it's just simply based on the benefit of the applicant.
May I ask a question? In terms of what you've done improving the property, you've increased the equity in the home, $68,000, doing a new roof, furnace, air conditioning, and finishing off 1,000 square feet in the basement, if I'm reading that correctly. Is that an additional?
The basement was unfinished when I purchased it.
And
I
you did
finished it.
finish it, okay. And the funds that you used to do that?
Were from my parents and from
Okay.
myself,
Okay.
and a lot of elbow grease on all of our parts as well, but that isn't monetary, I suppose.
All right. We've gone from a loan-to-value ratio of 65% to 69%, so that has improved the HRA's position. It is only a 5-year loan, and it is, at the end of the 5 years, it's forgivable. We aren't going to get anything out of it. So I guess I'm willing to go along with that. I certainly see your points, and I think we need to look at each situation separately. But I'm comfortable with this one.
And in respect to my fellow commissioner, out of principle, we shouldn't be doing this, but I have no principles.
I look at it as if this is to benefit the homeowner and to strengthen their stake in our community, that strengthens our community, and that's what this organization, this commission is about.
Okay, any further discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
All right, thank you. The motion passes. Thank you for investing in Richfield.
All right, thank you very much for your help.
Next item is number 5, Mr. Stark.
Thank you, Chair Sandal. And again, I'm going to ask Assistant Director Barton to provide the staff report while I put the visuals on the overhead.
Thank you, Chair Sandal and Commissioners. Item number 5 is a public hearing and consideration of a resolution authorizing the sale of 6825 Grand Avenue to Brandel Anderson Homes, and consideration of contract for private development with Brandel Anderson Homes for the construction of a single-family home under the Richfield Rediscovered program. The Housing and Redevelopment Authority purchased the home at 6825 Grand Avenue in the fall of 2009, demolished the existing substandard building and demolished this existing substandard building in the spring of 2010. Randall Anderson, the builder, has submitted an application to purchase the lot and construct a new home under the Richfield Rediscovered program. The builder has a purchase agreement with an end buyer to purchase the home upon completion. The new 2-story home will have 1,633 finished square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and an attached 2-stall garage. The home will have an estimated end value of $228,000. The Richfield Rediscovered program allows for a builder to receive a $5,000 credit in the event that the house is certified through LEED, Minnesota Green Star, or Minnesota Green Communities. Brandel Anderson is intending to construct the home to Minnesota Green Path certification standards. This certification program is a new program provided by the Builders Association of the Twin Cities with standards that are similar to those of the 3 certification programs mentioned in the Richfield Rediscovered guidelines. The Green Path certification focuses on energy efficiency of the home, indoor air quality, water conservation, and resource management. Once the certification is obtained, the HRA will then grant a $5,000 credit to Brandel Anderson. Construction of the new home is expected to begin in January and will be completed in the spring of 2013. And I believe we have a representative from Brandel Anderson here. If you have questions of either myself or Brandel Anderson, we'd be happy to answer them.
Did anyone have any questions they
Is
wanted
the
to
buyer
ask?
here as well? Is there a real buyer?
Why don't you come on up, and then if someone has a question, we'll hear you. And the people at home will hear you.
Yep. Hi,
And why don't you state your name and address, please?
Brian Helvick, 4555 Aaron Drive in Egan is our address.
Thank you. And we have some nice plans, and this is going to be a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and I don't recall, is the
I
basement?
was impressed with the design in that it is larger than the homes around it, but the architecture, the design is very consistent with the surrounding neighborhood, and it really won't be intrusive. Might be inspirational for some people to add on a half-story or something like that.
Right.
The family that's moving in, where are they coming from?
They are coming from about 4 or 5 miles north of here. They live in Minneapolis.
They live in Minneapolis.
It's nice to see a house where the garage isn't the prominent feature in the front.
Right, and that's.
It's got an alley on this one.
Yep, there
Wow.
is an alley access on this. That's also just part of fitting in the particular neighborhood. And the selections, the siding, that type of thing will be cohesive with the others around them.
Okay. So this is a public hearing. Does anyone else wish to speak on this matter? We'll let you have a chair and let Mr. Elliott speak here.
Evenings, Pat Elliott. This is more a question, I should say, by acknowledging that I used to work with Brandel Anderson. I did a lot of the construction litigation for him. So I'm not here to endorse or reject him. What I'd suggest is when you last sold some lots, I think there was 3 of them on the west side and 1 on the east side. And this is not a criticism in any way, shape, or manner, but I got a couple calls on the house on 73rd and Queen and 74th and Sheridan. And I thought I lived in Edina or southwest Minneapolis because they're calling about the McMansions they're building on small Richfield lots. And I said, you know, that's all part of finding move-up housing in Richfield. So, you know, wait until it's done, wait till the landscape is, and then take a look at it. And I think you're going to appreciate the quality of the houses that are being put up. And So what I'd suggested to him is somehow try to, in advance, when Brandel Anderson, another builder, comes in, is gonna buy a lot, somehow get the architectural drawings out there. If they see this and they see, they're not gonna be so shocked because it looks like it over or outweighs the neighborhood and everything. You drive by now and they fit and they look like they've been there forever. So I don't know if the HRA can, you know, if you get or advance notice, or if John can, just, you know, kind of put it out there, put it in the Richfield Sun-Current and say, here's the house that's going into your neighborhood. It's like Mr. Gepner said, I think it's gonna promote, you know, people to play catch-up. But we're gonna get past that 2 or 3 months where they're wondering what's going into my neighborhood, and now my house is gonna pale in comparison. It doesn't, but it's nice to just kind of set them at ease when these houses are being built. So that's just a suggestion, and it's just a reflection of some of the calls I've got until the houses are up and they take a look and they go, wow.
We forgot to ask your address, Mr. Elliott.
6720 Oliver Avenue South.
Thank you.
That is a photograph of one of the houses Brandel Anderson did in Richfield on Queen Avenue.
Mhm.
This one has a new, as of 2 months ago, we had some folks move into this.
And with respect to Pat's question, it was a suggestion on my part, because it was something that was done probably 15 years ago, where some of the city leaders actually got a bus tour of some of those properties in Richfield that were a result of this and the other housing programs. And unless they're pointed out to you, you don't know which ones they are. And if the council would be willing to buy a bus, we could do that tour again.
I've got my
Rent a
minivan here
bus.
tonight. We can, we're welcome to go check some out.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else who wishes to speak on this matter? Anyone else? If I hear no one else, we'll move to adjourn the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on adjournment of the public hearing? All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, so I will entertain a motion at this point so we can discuss the matter before us.
I so move.
All right, so we have a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the sale of 6825 Grand Avenue to Brandel Anderson Homes, and authorizing an execution of a contract for private development with Brandel Anderson Homes for the development of a single-family home under the Richfield Rediscovered program.
And I'll do a second.
Okay, any discussion? I guess I would like to say this is one of the things that the HRA is really encouraging, and that is that we build move-up housing in Richfield that meets current standards and current wants for people. We certainly have plenty of three-bedroom ramblers and 2.5-story Cape Cods in Richfield, but it's nice to see something that's what younger families are looking for, who want to expand or want to have more space or more bathrooms, more living space. And it's nice that they can find it in Richfield and don't have to leave the community. So we're happy that you're building those, and we'd like to continue the efforts. And I agree with the bus. I think that'd be great. I guess I might put the onus.
Like blue.
Blue, okay, we'll keep that in mind. I guess I would put Mr. Elliott's suggestion on your shoulders to suggest that maybe you'd like to send a postcard around to your neighbors on that block and say, come and see what we're doing. That might reduce some of the angst about what's happening when they see the huge hole in the ground. So that would be a great way for community building, and maybe the new neighbors could come and meet their new neighbors. That would be wonderful.
And
So,
Karen, even though you send out monthly the updates, how many other lots are available for this in Richfield at this time?
I want to say, I think we have 8 or 9 that are currently available.
It's not a huge inventory when you think
Were you
about it.
encouraged by your buyer, or you just knew of the program and put yourself together with the?
This was, actually, we did a Parade of Homes model home this last fall, and this was the result of that effort between the city. We had our first homeowner came in, allowed us to use that as the parade model, and that's where we met Mr. Gray, the folks that are coming in and building this one, and we would certainly have others that we're hoping to work with and explain kind of how the process works with the city of Richfield. So now that we've done it, we're getting a comfort level and letting folks know how that works. And if at some point too, you would be interested, I know you seek homeowners, we would also be willing to purchase a lot and do inventory homes if that's something that would interest you as well.
Okay. Yes. Oops, excuse me.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to also make a comment on several of these Richfield rediscovered homes after they've been constructed. People in the neighborhoods will see for sale signs up in the yards. One of the requirements of the program is that they do have an end buyer, and they do have an end buyer, but they often will put up the for sale sign with a sold on there just for marketing purposes. So if people are seeing that, that's what's occurring.
Thank you.
Just have a quick question. What number is this for us this year of the lots we've sold for Richfield rediscovered?
I think this is number 9.
Number 9.
Yep.
So we've sold 9 and we've got 9 left, so
And we're
if
still
anyone's
buying.
interested in doing some more of this, talk to the city.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, back to the front. Any HRA discussion items?
I have a couple questions,
Okay.
Madam Chair. We're having a meeting on the 7th. Is that instead of the meeting that would otherwise be on that day that you're not working?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. I will tell you, we have tentatively, we have a meeting on the 7th. That would be in addition to the regular January HRA meeting, which I don't know the date that we moved that to.
The 23rd.
Oh, did we move it already and I didn't remember that?
Yeah.
Tell me about, what is the change date?
I believe it's a Wednesday.
The 23rd.
Because
Okay. That's Martin
can't
Luther
use
King
the-
Day?
Yeah.
Right. The Monday when we would normally meet is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We can't move to the next day because that's a city council meeting. So it's the following day, the Wednesday the 23rd.
Okay, thank you.
And have we discussed February too, that has a similar conflict?
Right.
Right. On February, we don't have that same conflict with the city council. So
Be Tuesday?
normally we would meet on Monday, President's Day. So we'll meet that next Tuesday. And I don't know the
On
date
the
there either.
19th.
19th.
Okay. And is our start time on Monday, the 7th of January, 7 PM?
We haven't, I don't know if we've submitted.
I don't think it's been posted yet. Tentatively,
Well, from a selfish standpoint, I can tell you that the college football national championship starts at 7:30. So,
And how long is the agenda?
right now there's one item. It's related to Richfield Parkway, next to Cedar Point.
Okay. Do we want to move it earlier? Do we want,
I don't have just a minute.
it's a Monday.
I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, so I can't make a commitment for,
Okay, perhaps
January.
you could send us something and we can,
Maybe we can send you a couple of choices.
yeah, since the
And-
mayor,
And as long as we can
isn't
get
here
those in
either.
before we need to post, we'll be fine.
yeah, okay.
I have another item. We have somebody lobbying here for a park bench, or, I mean, a bus bench. And,
Actually, to move the bus bands.
but my contention would be to get rid of those benches entirely. They're 1950 benches. We're not a 1950 town anymore. And we tried to do that once before. We ran into some conflict with the chamber, who was defending, some of their merchants. But they make the streets look old and tired. We have a new standard for benches that we put up in front of the liquor store and in front of the water tower and in a couple other instances. And I would like to see a gradual adaptation of benches from, the 50s to the present. Just,
I will take that under advisement. I'm not sure what the HRA would choose to do about that at this point.
well, I don't think it's.
To me,
and- and
this is an issue for the Transportation Commission.
I'm
No, could be.
editorializing because I have the
Alright.
microphone.
I see.
Nobody's out there to.
The, having been a bus rider for many, many years, I would rather sit on any bench than no bench. So it would only be comfortable removing benches if we replace them. Yeah.
On the corner of 66th and Penn, there's the official bus shelter that looks more contemporary. And then the old bench with advertising on it next to it that actually is not even on a level plane. It shouldn't be necessary to have two there. And again, this is not something, unfortunately, that happens overnight. Nothing in government does. But, if I ruled the world, we'd get rid of those suckers.
Well, I would encourage you to bring this up to the city council.
I'm talking to two of you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on HRA discussion items? Maybe you can report, maybe that's part of your report, what's happening on our study.
Yes, at the November HRA meeting, you awarded the contract to Stantec to conduct the housing visioning process. We're now in the process of trying to populate a technical advisory group. We've put out in the Sun Current, the Patch, and I believe our Facebook page and a couple of other places, what we're looking for in terms of people to serve on that body. We have received, my guess would be about a dozen inquiries, and we've kept track of all of those. We're putting together a kind of a one-sheet description of what the commitment would be, and then a brief kind of questionnaire about the people that are interested in serving on that. My hope is that we'll have that done, completed within the next week or so, and we'll go ahead and email a copy of that out to you so you can see what that looks like, and provide it to anybody you think might be interested. And then the hope is that at the regular January HRA meeting, we would be able to come to you with a list of names for the HRA to approve. My goal is to not turn away anybody that's interested. Certainly if there are 30 or 40 people interested, that might change that goal, but that's the goal.
Okay. Is there anything else on your executive report?
No,
That's it? Okay. Any other items to come before us? If not, claims and payroll.
I have a question about that.
Okay.
And because I asked that we get an email that had the claims and payrolls, I actually, looked it over. There was a $5,000 item in there. Was that an energy credit that somebody got for?
It's down here. Why don't you give it to Mr. Stark?
Wasn't critical, but it went in with the discussion that we had earlier with respect to
Yeah, that was a credit for meeting environmental standards
Is that a credit paid by us or by someone else?
by us.
By us, okay.
but it's a pass-through?
It's not a pass-through, it's just an incentive from the HRA in the construction of the Richfield rediscovered homes that if they meet the green guidelines, then we give them an additional $5,000 towards meeting those to help offset, defer the costs.
And, that credit is based on, we did research several years ago about the additional costs of meeting these standards. And at that time, we came to the HRA and talked about the credit, talked about the costs associated, and that was a number that seemed to make sense. So we can, we try to, as much as possible, we try to check these kinds of numbers frequently. We haven't checked that one in a while, but.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay, well, if there's no further business to come before us, we stand adjourned.
I don't
The
think we
vote
didn't
on
do
the
the
claims
claims
and
and
Oh, I'm
payrolls.
sorry. Well, we talked about it, we just didn't get there. Okay.
Somebody interrupted me.
I'm sorry. Is there a motion to approve it?
So moved.
We got a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on claims and payrolls? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Happy holidays to all.
And same to you.